And away we go. It's just me at the moment. Not sure if Risk and or Eric are going to join for this episode. If not, for the episode must go on. So let's see what's in the news today for me to rant about. Primatologist Jane Goodall, famous for her study of chimpanzees, has passed away. Scientist and global activist Jane Goodall, who turned her childhood love for primates into a lifelong quest for protecting the environment, passed away on Wednesday at the age of 91. The institute she founded said. Goodall passed away of natural causes, the Jane Goodall Institute said in a social media post. Dr. Goodall's discoveries as an ethologist revolutionized science, and she was a tireless advocate for the protection and restoration of our natural world. It said the primatologist turned conservationist spun her love of wildlife into a lifelong campaign that took her from a seaside English village to Africa and then across the globe in a quest to better understand chimpanzees as well as the role that humans play in safeguarding the habitat and the planet overall. Goodall was a pioneer in her field, both as a female scientist in the 1960s and for her work studying the behavior of primates. She created a path for a string of other women to follow suit, including the late Diane Fossey. She also drew the public into the wild, partnering with the National Geographic Society to bring her beloved chimps into our lives through film, TV, and magazines. She opened specific norms of the time, giving chimpanzees names instead of numbers, observing their distinct personalities, and incorporating their family relationships and emotions into her work. She also found that, like humans, they use tools. We found that after all, there isn't a sharp line dividing humans from the rest of the animal kingdom, she said in a 2002 TED Talk. As her career evolved, she shifted her focus from primatology to climate advocacy after witnessing widespread habitat devastation, urging the world to take quick and urgent action on climate change. We're forgetting that we're part of the natural world, she told CNN in 2020. There's still a window of time. In 2003, she was appointed a Dame of the British Empire, and in 2025, she received the US Presidential Medal of Freedom. Hello, Eric.
Hey, how you doing?
Going great. I'm reading an article. Her name is Jane Goodall. She's recently passed away at the age of 91, and she is known for her work for climate advocacy, but prior, she has been known for her study on chimpanzees and giving them names rather than numbers, which has made an impact and influence in the world of wildlife research.
Because it's like, what? Wait, hold on. So her giving her animals names made an impact because she was seeing her animals as something more than just experiments, or is that the whole thing? Pretty much, rather than just she was seeing her animals as like something more than just like an experiment or just like a project, but rather than like to just have a similar amount of like people or something like that.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
She's made groundbreaking research showing that chimpanzees and other animals are more than just animals. They are part of the natural world. And given the research that she's made an impact, has has gotten a lot of people's attention and has really set in stone for wildlife research as we know it today, from what I've just read.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, that honestly sounds really good. Yeah, I mean definitely giving your chimpanzee name is definitely commendable for someone who just sees animals for more than just being like wild animals, but like you see animals for you know you know you don't just see animals as being experiments. I guess what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I pretty much understand. And that's a great way to look at it.
Absolutely. But of course,
But yeah.
Rest in peace, Jane Goodall, and I do send my condolences to the friends and family of Jane Goodall at this
Yes,
unfortunate
same.
time.
Yeah, like same here. I send my condolences to I send my condolences to her friends and family, because she definitely lived a very long life. And so yeah, and we ought to be grateful for what she's done for animals and what she's just done in her life. You know, making us see animals for who they really are, and not just simple experiments or just. But yeah, she definitely did something correct. She definitely did something correct, and everyone obviously saw that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, yeah, it's just very important. But I'm sure anyone would be blessed to live a very long life that long. You know, I'll be honest. I saw unrelated, but I saw a video where someone, I believe, there was a man who had a vitiligo, but I think he was like 108 or 109 years old. Wow, that is. He could have passed on. He could have passed for uh, I think he could have passed for about 70 or 80. He was great for his age. But yeah,
Yes.
Macy, and hopefully he is resting in peace. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Oh, yes. World fertility rate by all countries around the world.
All right, let's hear more about that.
Alright, so starting at the very bottom, we have Taiwan with a fertility rate of 1.09.
Wow, huh? That is definitely something, man. Wow, I don't really know what to say. I don't really know what to say. Like you?
No, I'm speechless.
Is there anything more in the story?
Oh no, I'm just reading. This is a statistics post on Twitter X showing the list of all countries and their fertility rates.
Ah, I see. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's. How many countries are there that were
Pretty much
within?
all of them.
Okay. Let's check them all off there.
Alright, so next, of course, no surprise, is South Korea with 1.11 fertility rate.
That is unfortunate, man. South Korea. I was just gonna say this, man. Like, I need to shape up. Seriously, shape up. Like, come on. I don't want them to go at the same. Come on. They're all human. But yeah. Let's get to the next one.
Alright, Singapore, 1.17.
Not any better. 1.17. All right. Let's hear more.
Ukraine, 1.22.
What is with all these countries and them in the one? Like, come on, shape up. Have some kids, for crying out loud. I'm sure it's gonna get better though.
It
Let's
will
go
get
ahead.
better for sure, yes.
I know this is just sad. Ukraine. I mean, I get China and South Korea and and Ukraine. I would have assumed they were having kids. I would assume they were at least in the 30s, 40s, 40s, even 20s. But let's continue.
Alright, next is Macau, 1.23.
Wow, wow, wow.
And also at 1.23 is Hong Kong.
Not exactly that surprised. It's sad, but I'm not surprised. All right, let's hear more.
Right, at 1.24 is Italy.
I'm sorry. What is Italy at again?
Italy at 1.2.
Once again, I'm surprised. I would have really assumed that Italy was still thriving. I really would have assumed that. I'm serious about that too.
At 1.25, Moldova.
Okay.
And also at 1.25 is Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. I'm still shocked. I'm not gonna lie. Half these places, I'm a little shocked. That there aren't any more. That they're not higher, but it is what it is, I suppose. But yeah. Anything else in it? Sorry, not any.
Yes, so at 1.29, we have Spain.
0.29. Wow. Just, just wow. I'm not gonna lie. What is with people not having children?
Maybe it's a preference. Maybe people don't want to have children.
That many though? I mean, I understand, some people, not wanting to have children, because it's they just know that they're not gonna be a good you're not going to be a good father. For instance, I'd say for example, John Cena, he doesn't have any children because he recognizes that he would not be there for he would not be. He's so busy he would not be there for his children, for whatever child that he has, if he has kids. Plus I think it's just a preference in general. But yeah, it's just but dang, bro, that many people not wanting children. I don't know. There has to be something going on. I don't know. But yeah, let's continue.
At 1.31, Poland.
1 point.
Yes.
How shocked are you at this?
Well, to be honestly, I am partially shocked, but for the most part, I'm not that surprised because I think there was a point in our lifetimes, in our parents' lifetimes, where the fertility rate globally had peaked, and because of the the it's likely the fertility rate would have declined because the reason why fertility rates were so high in the 20th and 19th century was because of the unhygienic conditions, especially across the UK, possibly the United States, European countries, and certainly many other nations around the world, where most where industries are either partially or not industrialized at all, and children, very at a young age, that would likely catch some form of illness or disease, they would die at a young age because most families did not have the money to afford whatever health care or treatments that they have at the time, let alone affording that said treatment.
Very interesting take. I would say a lot. I would say a lot of people would definitely agree with what you said. But yeah, let's get into the next country.
All right, so three countries: 132, 1.35, and 1.39. Montserrat, Mauritius, and Japan, respectively.
Japan, I'm not that surprised about. The other countries, um, I would say at this point, I'm just not surprised because I heard the rest of them. I'm just not really that surprised. I mean, it's just you're right. It might be a preference. It might not, or it just might be a sense, or it might just be because that was specific example. I'll be honest. Maybe what? Maybe also it's finances as well. It maybe has something to do with the cost of living as well. It has to be because it's because the cost of living is not exactly the way it was before. People are less inclined to have a child. So it's not that surprising, I suppose. It's not that surprising, but it is kind of. But yeah, is there anything else to me?
All right, so next, two countries at 1.40, Greece and Costa Rica.
1.0, Greece and Costa Rica.
No, 1.40.
Ah, I'll be honest. These statistics are just crazy. Why are there a lot of countries in the 1%? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Other than the cost of living, being contributed to that, I don't get it. Or some people just like you said before, having a preference to not have children. I don't get it. Usually, most people would at least would desire having children. I don't know, even if it is unplanned. But let's keep going through the list.
So if I go one by one, three by three, it'll take a while. So what I'm going to do is list all the countries within a specific fertility range so we can get through this list efficiently in a timely manner.
Yeah, I did not know how many countries we're gonna do because it's I thought we were gonna eventually get to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 10, at least 10%.
Yeah. All right. So countries with a fertility rate between now other countries with a fertility rate between 1.40 to a fertility rate of 1.59, besides Greece and Costa Rica, the Bahamas, Portugal, Belarus, China, no surprise, Andorra, Croatia, Serbia, Cyprus, Malta, Bulgaria, Austria, Russia, Monaco, Thailand, Latvia, Albania, Norway, Canada, Germany, Guernsey, Switzerland, and Hungary.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. That sounds like it's all of it. But yeah, I suppose we should get into the other news then.
Oh, there's more. So countries
Oh
with
wow.
yes, there's every country and or territory is on this post on Twitter X.
Oh man, that is wow. It's a long one, isn't it?
Oh yes. All right. Countries with a
Oh,
fertility rate between 1.60 to a fertility rate of 1.79. Slovenia, Slovakia, Lithuania, the Netherlands, Estonia, United Arab Emirates, Luxembourg, Trinidad and Tobago, Romania, the United Kingdom, Armenia, Jersey, Bahrain, Sweden, Azerbaijan, Palau, Barbados, Maldives, Lebanon, Cuba, Anguilla, Saint Lucia, Ireland, Australia, Mexico, Brunei, Finland, Czechia, Malaysia, Uruguay, Chile, Brazil, Bhutan, Denmark, Belgium, and that's about it for that range. Yeah, but yeah, there's more.
I'll be honest. You probably could have actually made this the entire episode. How many are there in number?
I think that's my check. I think there's at least 200 countries slash territories in the world, and I think all of them are included on this
Dude,
post.
I'll be honest. You probably could have legitimately made this the entire episode and just commented on the country on like each country.
Yeah.
I feel like we could have done that. But yeah, all right. I guess let's keep it going. I guess I suppose let's keep listening.
Yes. Okay. So countries with a fertility rate between 1.8 to a fertility rate of 1.99. French territory of Saint Martin, Seychelles, Montenegro, Cayman Islands, Aruba, North Korea, the United States of America, Nicaragua, New Zealand, Isle of Man, Paraguay, Nepal, Bermuda, Mongolia, Saudi Arabia, Gibraltar, Greenland, Qatar, France, Suriname, Turkey, Grenada, Iran, Antigua and Barbuda, Colombia, Iceland, Georgia, the country, not the state, Tunisia, Curacao, the Dutch territory of Sint Maarten, the United States Virgin Islands, and Indonesia.
Wow. I'm gonna say this: all those countries and territories need to shape up. They really do need to shape up and get right. Otherwise, they will become extinct. There's probably more older people in these territories than like young people. But they gotta realize that themselves, not us. But yeah, let's continue.
Okay, so the replacement rate being at 2, which is needed for a family, which is the number of children that a family should have to ensure that there's a sustainable growth in population. And there's actually a handful of countries that are above that rate. Families in these countries are having at least 2 children at this point, which is ideal to ensure that the bloodline and the heritage of people in those countries remain for years to come, even decades to come.
I just had to go real quick. I reacted to like a cat feed or something like that. So, God. But yeah, let's continue. Let's just continue on with like this. It seems like a nice thing, but like this is really not important. Anyways, yeah, yeah, let's continue. Let's continue.
Okay, so nations with a fertility rate of 2 up until a fertility rate of 2.19: Myanmar, Dominica, Turkmenistan, the Cook Islands, El Salvador, Vietnam, Jamaica, Guyana, India, Belize, Bangladesh, Cape Verde, American Samoa, Djibouti, Dominican Republic, Sri Lanka, Argentina, Kiribati, and Peru. Yeah, there's actually a country called Djibouti.
Well, how do they come up with these names?
I have no idea.
Djibouti. Someone says, "Where you're from?" I was like, "Oh, I'm from Djibouti." They're like, "What?" I'm from Djibouti. Oh, that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
That is actually kind of funny. But these statistics are just these statistics are tragic though. They're just tragic.
Oh, yes.
They're just very tragic. It's just sad, but it
It was what it was.
but yeah. Let's
Okay, so countries with a fertility rate of 2.2, between 2.2 and 2.39: Cambodia, Venezuela, Micronesia, Kuwait, Fiji, Ecuador, Bolivia, Morocco, Laos, South Africa, Samoa, Botswana, Panama, and Honduras.
I'm still still not good. Still in the two, so it's just very upsetting. But you know, I would say it's definitely better than being in one. But that's not that's still not better. Yeah, these are like these people need to save up and start having children. But I do get it though. If it's finances or just like simply because you can't afford it, I get that. Which is why you need to somehow adjust your life to be able to do that. But it would probably take more work. Most people do wish that it was like back in the days where like you used to be able to have a job, have one job, to be able to support one family under one household, under one roof. But now it just it seems like they're doing this on purpose to make it complicated for us to have children. And the people who do have children, well, they have children by accident, and they're either decent parents, good parents, decent parents, or just flat out bad parents. But let's just stick to the next. Let's just judge the next country.
Alright, countries with a fertility rate between 2.4 to 2.59: Eswatini, Kyrgyzstan, Haiti, Guatemala, Nauru, Vanuatu, and Kazakhstan.
But what more can I really say? What more can I really say? Just upset. Just upset. Actually, yeah, you know what? What more can I say? I
Other than
mean,
these countries
I'm
who are above the replacement rates, they're set. They don't have to worry about what happens in the next few years. It's the more developed countries with a fertility rate of lower than 2, like 1.9, 1.4. Those are the countries that should be worried about having reproduction of the offspring for the next few decades.
yeah. I mean, my question is like, is there something wrong with the country? And my question was like, was there something wrong with like the country that they're living in? Like, is there just like something that is preventing them from having children? Because if that's the case, then like fine. But it's like, I was about to say, is there something wrong with it? Is the country underdeveloped? Like, is there something that's missing that they need in order for these people having their children? That was really my question that I was wondering. Because yeah, like if that's the case, then yeah, I think give them what they need, but if it's not the case, then what's your excuse? But that's what I was wondering. But yeah, let's get on to the next.
Alright, countries with a fertility rate of between 2.6 to 2.79: Oman, Comoros, Tonga, Marshall Islands, Syria, Guam, Egypt, and the Philippines.
You know what? Ironically, I'll be honest. Ironically, with the Philippines, I'm not that surprised by it. I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's like I've heard somewhat about the Philippines. I know they also have lady boys there, but that's besides the point. That's besides the point. I'm just kind of wondering if that's a factor for the reason why the fertility rate is not exactly high there. Um, but yeah, it's like the Philippines. I'm ironically not that shocked about it, and I don't know. Seems like in countries like that, the fertility rate is not exactly high, and I don't know if that causes. I don't know if the men aren't asking the women out, or the men just prefer other men, or just any of that, or it's just it has something to do with education. I wouldn't really know, but yeah, but not really that shocked about the Philippines. I'll be honest. Someday, maybe I would visit. Maybe I would visit the Philippines. My friend told me there's a part of the Philippines that family lives in where there's barely any Wi-Fi. There's barely any Wi-Fi whatsoever. I think it's probably the only way that comes to that. But you know, yeah, I'll be honest. Maybe I will visit the Philippines. It seems like a nice place. Other than God, other than the somewhat degeneracy to have there. There's a degeneracy everywhere. But yeah, the other places I've either never heard of or just I'm not shocked about the fertility. But yeah, let's see what other countries on this list and see if their fertility rates are just as like either higher or just as low.
Alright, so countries with a fertility rate between 2.8 to 2.99: Tuvalu, Lesotho, Jordan, Yemen, Uzbekistan, Namibia, Israel, and Algeria.
Do you have any thoughts on these countries?
Well, actually, I'm not surprised with Israel, given what a lot of people have argued and criticized regarding the Israeli government, just Jewish people in general. I don't think there's anything I can argue with this about. And of course, I've seen a post on Instagram Reels looking at the comparisons between uh, a city in one of the Western world countries and a city in Israel. And with Israel, I don't see anything out of place. I, I, I'm not sure how else to describe what Israeli cities look like. However, I know one thing for sure. Over the years, I know that Israel is a mostly clean city. They have well-established infrastructure, and other than the fact there is a Palestinian minority population around Israel, the majority of the Israeli population is predominantly homogeneous. Although people would argue about ancestry and DNA testing, saying that Israelis are Semites, but people that are Palestinians are Semites. That's at least what I've heard. However, otherwise, I'm not surprised with Israel. I knew that the fertility rate would be high, and I'm certain that there is something within Israel that a lot of countries around the world should be taking note of, even if there are people that they certainly strongly disagree with the government and what they're doing right now, but that doesn't take away from the fact that Israel is still functioning in a way that most countries should be operated.
Yeah, I'm just not surprised that. And what you said was like 100% right as well. I'm just, I'm just not surprised. A bit. I mean, I would assume like if I mean, actually no, I would have actually no. I would have assumed that Israel was having like more, was having like more. Because it's like I don't know, it's like, it seems to be a lot. There seems to be a lot of them, so it's like I would assume that like they're having more children. I don't know, like isn't that kind of what like rich people are all about, like family, like just having kids. Like don't most Jewish people like have kids, like have kids, or okay, practicing Jewish people, who like follow the Torah and believe like believe in family values, not the ones who are not the ones who don't exactly practice like the faith or the religion, but just Jewish by admission.
So countries with a fertility rate between 3 to 3.99. So these are countries whose families are having at least 3 children. Libya, Iraq, Rwanda, Kenya, Gabon, Malawi, Pakistan, Mauritania, Ivory Coast, or Cote d'Ivoire, Eritrea, Zimbabwe, Palestine, Madagascar, Tajikistan, Ghana, the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Papua New Guinea, Republic of the Congo, and Ethiopia.
I really don't have anything to say. Like I feel like I just feel like if I'm gonna say anything, I'm just gonna repeat myself. I would say like all in all with these places, like for the most part, we should for the most part, would I would have to know the certain situations with these countries to figure out why they're not reproducing as much as they should be. I would have to like really just look into these countries to like truly determine why not. Because if it's logical, then I'll be like, okay, well, I mean, I wish they would have like more children, but like if this is the reason, then it needs to be fixed. Yeah, like every country has like a reason why they don't have children or why they don't do this, why they don't do that. There's a reason why there's certain laws in certain countries and why certain things are restricted, why certain things aren't restricted. So yeah, it's like with these countries specifically that are in the 1 to 2% to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10%, um, and so on. They all have a reason on why they do certain things. So it doesn't even matter how much I disagree. It's like I'll be honest. Because for instance, with like I would say that there are like education and like you being the best, you being like I want to abundance. But the problem with that is it doesn't leave room for you to relax. It doesn't leave room for anyone to relax. It just leaves room for you to like just learn. And there's nothing wrong with learning, but you also have to find a balance between learning, but also like going out to like potentially meet a nice girl, settle like get to know her, settle down, and eventually have children. You can still have a good job and like still have kids, but it's like there's certain places that are either so hyper focused on education that they neglect to really let people be, and really let people like do what they gotta do in order to like further their bloodline. Or it's just yeah, in the countries just like controlling that and making it impossible. And also like it has something to do with expenses as well. The country just makes it flat out impossible for you to live by yourself. So if you have children, it's definitely impossible to like live with family. So it's just one of those things where it's like yeah, we can ultimately list all of these things, but that is I would say that's the main plot. That's either the plot business or it's just I don't know, maybe these places are so poor that like people can't really have children because like you wouldn't want to bring your child into that poverty as well. You wouldn't want to have a child and they struggle struggle and go through that poverty as well. You would want to give your child a better life than you have ever lived. I would say that's every good parent's goal is to have their child surpass them and become better than them in the ways that they had to learn the hard way. I'd say that's what like each generation is for. If there's hard times, you go through those hard times so that your child wouldn't have to go through those hard times. You create easy times for your children. Well, I mean, obviously, still make your child earn it, but ultimately, yeah, you go through those hard times so your child wouldn't have to go through those hard times. They'll make them earn it. How obviously, still make them earn it. Obviously, but yeah, like it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, if you earn it, or are you just giving it? Because there are children who are giving it. There's a term that certain people use in certain businesses, whether it be wrestling or any form of sports. It's called a nepo baby. A nepo baby doesn't earn anything. They're just giving it. And those people have got to like prove it, like they belong in that specific area, not because of what their parents did, but because of what they're doing now, because of what they achieve now, because of what their parents achieve. But yeah, I say this, every country has their struggles, every country has their reasons for doing it. So I would say if we ever get to the 50% then yeah, that country is doing something right, but also there's still there's still something that they should do better. But yeah, let's get to the other statistics. And obviously, if we do not get past all of them today, we could probably do it another. We probably like get past the rest of them another. But yeah, let's keep going.
Countries with a fertility rate between 4 and 4.99. So families in these countries are having at least 4 children. Liberia, Burkina Faso, Senegal, Togo, Tanzania, Zambia, Cameroon, Afghanistan, Sudan, Nigeria, Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, Guinea, and Burundi.
You said they're having at least 4 children?
Yes, fertility rate of at least 4 to 4.9.
Okay, cool. I will say this, definitely better than 1%. Definitely better than 1%. But, yeah, I'll say, like, they're having 4 children. That's pretty good. It is pretty good. Not that surprised with Nigeria. I'm not that surprised with, with the other places as well. But also at the same time, I've never really heard of these other places. I've heard of some of them, but I haven't heard of some of them. But yeah, like that's good. That's good. At least, at least it's less depressing than like 1% or 1.5 or 1.0, like 5.50 or 5.53.
Countries at a fertility rate between 5 to 5.99. South Sudan, Somalia, Uganda, Chad, Benin, Mali, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Angola.
Interesting. All right, Uganda. I've heard of Uganda. I just never. Yeah, I've heard of Uganda. But yeah, like I would say, like definitely like 5% better. We're getting there. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. So yeah, I would say like I'm glad I would say that there's still room to rise in that percentage. A lot of room actually, but better than it being lower than 2.
There's only one more country with that is ranked to have the highest fertility rate in the world. Do you know what that country is?
The United States of America.
No, we just mentioned the United States.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, sorry, I forgot. I forgot.
That's alright.
But I'll be honest, I'm kind of joking anyway. I know that it's not obviously that high. But anyways, yeah, like what is that country?
The country with the highest fertility rate in the world, a rate of 6.73, is the African nation of Niger.
Oh, the African nation of Niger. Is that what it's called?
Yes, Niger.
Niger. But I do not know how to pronounce it. Well, I'll be honest. I'll be honest, man. That is great to hear. That is great to hear. And as for the other countries, man, look at that. But hey, at least we kind of got somewhere outside of the one, you know. So, yeah, like I mean, um, I've never really, I really have never heard of that African nation. I'll be honest with you. Man, that's really, I really gotta learn more about other countries. But yeah, I'm glad that like at least that was high up there and not low up there, as you said. But yeah, is that it for the countries or is
Alright, thousand-year-old camel cravings rewrite Arabian desert history.
I'm sorry, what? Let's hear more about that.
Indeed we shall. Researchers were recently surprised when they encountered more than 60 ancient rock art panels lining the mountainous terrain of the Nafud Desert in northern Saudi Arabia, Reuters reports. Overall, the team recorded more than 130 life-size images of camels, gazelles, ibexes, wild donkeys, and aurochs that had been carved into the sandstone cliffs around 12,000 years ago. This indicates that the climate there was at least partially habitable at that time, and that groups of hunter-gatherers were passing through the region 2,000 years earlier than previously believed. Experts posit that the ancient communities likely survived the inhospitable desert conditions by moving between seasonal lakes. The team also believes the monumental rock engravings perhaps mark the paths and locations of essential water sources within the landscape. This theory is supported by the prevalence of images of male camels, which were often associated with the rainy season. While most of the images were close to ground level, one scene featuring 90 and 3 donkeys were carved in a spot 128 feet up and only accessible via a narrow ledge. Standing on this ledge, the engravers would also not have been able to see the whole image they were creating, said archaeologist and rock art researcher Maria Guanin. But they had the skill to still produce a naturalistic representation.
Well, that is some discovery. I will say that, and that is definitely some discovery. Very interesting. Definitely a very interesting discovery, and maybe discover much more and much more than that in the near to distant future. Yeah, there's definitely some discovery that they found. Very interesting. Some people would find it interesting, some people would find it boring. But yeah, very interesting nonetheless. You know, it's always great when we're discovering new things. So I'm surprised that we're still discovering new things in 2025. If I'm being honest, I don't know. It just feels like everything has already been discovered. Everything has already been found. You know, I don't know. There's proof for certain things, and there are certain things that are proof for to disprove certain things, and there is proof to But yeah, that's definitely some discovery. Yeah, let's hear what else in the news.
OpenAI announces partnerships with South Korea chip giants over Stargate project.
All right, let's see what OpenAI and South Korea are cooking up. Let's see what they're cooking up.
Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix have signed letters of intent to supply memory chips for OpenAI's data centers to meet demand for its Stargate project. OpenAI announced partnerships with Samsung affiliates to develop, build, and operate AI data centers, and to work on floating offshore data centers. So South Korea's presidential advisor said the country was open to financing the Stargate project, which would be impossible without chips from Samsung and SK Hynix.
What are your thoughts?
I'm kind of in the middle with this one. Whilst I'm all for technological advancement and progress in technology in general, however, I still do have concerns that there are people out there that have become so reliant on ChatGPT for pretty much anything and everything in their lives, to the point it's essentially their life now. Without it, how can they go on? How are they going to get stuff done? What if they want to know what the answer to life is, or how to cook up some breakfast? Whatever's floating in people's minds. If they can't use ChatGPT because the servers are down, where are they going to turn to for information? If there isn't an answer that people have regarding who to turn to for information, or just for research in general, then we are cooked. We are so cooked for sure.
I would say that I'm inclined to agree with that. We are definitely fucked. Yeah, I even question myself. It's like, really trusting, when it comes to just general things in my life, or even space. I'm like, am I really trusting in this, or am I really just going running to AI? Because it's like the one thing, I don't know. It's like I'm all for searching. I'm all for searching up certain things, on Google, and I would say because AI is intrinsically in Google, AI is always going to have its own interpretation on things, whether if it's right or wrong. It's always going to have an interpretation, but it's like, I don't know. I kind of do miss just going to like the website, searching it up from there. Yeah, people trust AI way too much. And as soon as AI is taken away, people are just gonna freak out. You know, like they freaked out about like TikTok being taken away because like it's so ingrained in our lives now. It's like people can't live without it. People can't seem to remember life without this. I don't know. I feel like life was simpler when AI was not really hard. Well, it wasn't simpler, but it was definitely, I don't know. At least I feel like without AI, it had us going from website to website to website, pretty much having to actually do something instead of just expecting an answer just off the bat from this, that, etc. I mean, yeah, sure. The one useful thing that AI does is link useful websites, but I don't know. Like I feel like there's just something like there's just something to it. Just searching website to website yourself to look for answers to either refute someone or just to prove someone something right or to prove someone wrong. I don't know. It's like we need to get back to a place where we don't rely on AI, but we rely on the knowledge that we have, and just faith. Yeah, just rely on God. Because ultimately speaking, it's AI. The thing is with AI, it adheres to your worldview. If you don't want to be wrong about something, AI will not correct you if you program it to be that way. But if you want to be right about something, AI will pretend it's objective, but somehow find an argument to your claim. The point is with AI, it can be manipulated. It can be manipulated by people, and I don't think you can trust that because it's like at least when when you're going from website to website, that stuff cannot be manipulated. You can see the flaws in certain arguments. You can see the flaws in certain people's worldviews. Yeah, it's it can't be manipulated. AI, it can manipulate certain things. So yeah, you really got to be careful there. But yeah, is there anything else in it?
Met Office named Storm Amy with 80 miles per hour winds and torrential rain to lash the United Kingdom.
Alright, let's do more.
Oh yes, Hurricane Umberto could trigger a massive storm in Britain this weekend after wreaking havoc across the Caribbean and the US this week. It's been claimed it comes after the UK narrowly avoided the effects of Hurricane Gabrielle that slammed into Portugal last week. The remnants of the Category 4 hurricane could travel across the Atlantic Ocean, heading straight for the UK. This would likely result in the first named storm of the season for Britain, which would be Storm Amy, bringing heavy winds and rain. And it could be a big one, a weather expert has warned. Humberto was intensifying in the Caribbean on Monday morning, and is predicted to sweep between the US and Bermuda on Tuesday. Storm trackers anticipated the hurricane to move out towards the broader Atlantic Ocean by Wednesday evening, where it would weaken into a tropical storm. However, it could still batter Britain later in the week, bringing winds of up to 70 miles per hour in its path, according to British Weather Service's meteorologist Jim Dale. The most northern and western regions of the country would likely bear the brunt, he said. Storm Amy looks destined to unfold off the ashes of Humberto on Friday or Saturday. If it all goes to plan, there will be lots of wind and rain, he told the Mirror.
I don't really have any real thoughts on this specifically.
It's going to be a big one. Not too big, but it will be noticeable, and I hope that anyone that's living in Scotland, Northern Ireland, and anywhere in Northern England that's close to the England-Scotland border, hopefully that their homes are not safe from whatever damages that Storm Amy will cook up by the time it arrives in the UK, and there isn't much damage that will be caused by that. That's all I will have to say on that.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, is there anything else?
That is us.
Alright. Peace.
Peace.